All right, so we are back recording again. So yeah, Libby, feel free to jump on in. We'd love to have you here. Absolutely. She may need help with her audio setup again.
Shabbat shalom, Libby.
Shabbat shalom, Libby. I see you're in chat.
Yeah, just turn on the microphone button.
Yeah, the big blue microphone button, tap it, and it'll unmute, and we'll be able to hear you.
Is that it? Are we on?
There you are.
Oh, wow.
Shabbat shalom. I'm away to bed.
Shabbat shalom. Mary says she's away to bed. Oh, my. Come on, Charlie, jump up on the thing. That's it.
Make sure
I'm enjoying listening to you.
Thank you. All praise to the Most High. And we enjoy listening to you as well, sister.
Oh, really? Oh, my. I've had a good day today. I've really enjoyed it. You know, I'm not saying these things to blow any trumpet, far from it. But out of my pension, I blew quite a bit of money this month, probably nearly half of the pension, on photocopying that article of yours, Jeremy. And I sat in the car before I went off posting it to everybody. In this country, it's gone out to about, well, probably nearly 50 people. And it's a big article, as you know. And of course, because I enlarged it, the print, to make it easier for people to see it. And when the photocopy girl said, oh, well, you know, you can make it cheaper, Libby, by doing it double-sided. But you see, that makes it a little bit more awkward. When somebody's, you know, having a cup of coffee, you can just do one side at a time. It only takes a few seconds to do one page at a go, you know. When people lead busy lives, they think, oh, I can't read all that stuff, you know. But, you know, when you get into it, and this couple have been here today, and he's 76, and he's amazing. He said, Libby, that article, it's tremendous. He said, I can't put the thing down. He said, the historical record of how all these things happened. Oh, he said, I am loving it. And I thought in the car that day when I'd just, you know, done all that photocopying, I thought to myself, I sat there and I prayed and I said, if only one man, if only one person comes back and says how much they've enjoyed it, that'll be sufficient. And here he was today. Oh, he was waxing lyrical about that article of yours about the Dead Sea Scrolls. He said, wow, he said, it is so good, I can't put it down. And I feel the same. I feel exactly the same. It is just superb. You've done a good job on that, Jeremy. A real good job. Marvelous.
Yeah, you know, all praise to the Most High. He's the one that showed me all these things. If
Yeah.
it wasn't for him, I would know nothing. So
Yeah.
he's the one who helped me find all of these, you know, historical facts. And I even have the sources cited as well. So it's not just me saying these things, it's actual historical evidence. You know, walking at these scriptures and all these things. And it was very tough to find because they try to hide these things because they want to push that, oh, Dead Sea Scrolls are bad, don't read them, don't touch them.
That's right. I'll tell you what I found very interesting. The bit you'd put in about Giza worms. Oh, that was interesting. That was very interesting about Giza worms. That was very good. Now, put me straight on something, if you would. I have said to people who have received the article, it might be a very good idea if you actually, well, it's because of the fact that you obviously intended it to be read on the computer, whereas I've got it printed off so that people can sit down with a coffee and begin to read it as a hard copy. But I've said to people, suggested, it might be a very good idea if you put a number at the top left-hand corner so that, you know, just in case, you know, something happens and you jump up, all of a sudden and the pages drop on the floor, you wouldn't know where you were to put them back in order because there's no number in the top left corner. So I've been very careful up to now myself that I haven't done it. But I've been away to a music concert, you know, a country and western thing over the last couple of days. And we were in a caravan. And anyway, the unbelievable happened. The dog jumps up on the bed, knocks some of the pages on the floor. I haven't got round to numbering them. So I've got the job tomorrow of trying to put them back in order. So I'll have to do that myself. But there was one of the pages that I was going to ask you. Now, I'll have to go back and reread certain bits, obviously. You mentioned something about Damascus. Did you? I'm probably saying something that's not correct, but I thought you'd written on one of these pages that the Damascus that Paul went was in Syria. But as I personally believe it, the Damascus that I believe he went to was the Damascus in the Qumran.
Yeah, that's what I no, I not Damascus area, but Damascus, Qumran. That's where Paul was on the road to.
That's it.
And we see that because, you know, Paul's writings, it has similar language and style to that of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And, you know, because he calls Satan Belial, that's exactly the same title they give him in the Dead Sea Scrolls as well. And they called that land, that entire land there, they called it Damascus.
Yes.
Which was only a couple miles from Jerusalem. So why would Paul travel like thousands of miles to go to, you know, Syria versus a couple miles to Damascus, Qumran, right there.
That's right.
He did travel thousands of miles. He even went up to Europe a lot, but it makes sense that it was the Qumran area because if he was part of that community, he probably went there quite often. But when that Damascus Road happened, that experience, he probably very well could have been on his way to persecute those priests.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, that was a holy community, and they were the ones he was probably targeting the most.
Yeah, they were right.
And you
down
know,
the street,
Scripture talks about the cities that would be destroyed, and Damascus was one of them. And I suspect that the Qumran area was actually a city. It's now a melted city. And those weren't caves back then. Those were rooms that was part of the city. Now, of course, I have no proof of that, but if you just look at the ruins, it looks like so similar to so many of the melted cities around the world. You know, something happened in the big melt. But usually it was wicked cities. So I don't know why Qumran would be melted, but I don't know. Has anybody else thought about that? I mean, I just can't imagine them living out in caves for years. I think it was a city, but I have no proof of that, of course. Just speculation.
No, I would agree.
They probably obliterated that proof. I'd tell you something that I came across something. There was an article once. It was on John Minton's literature, and it was a very interesting article. It was the title of the article was why didn't Paul, the Apostle Paul, keep all the feasts in Jerusalem? I kept that article as a PDF and I got it printed out, and I've sent that to a number of people. And in that little article, quite a few number of years ago, it said something quite fascinating, and it said, when you think about it, the Apostle Paul would not have been able to go to a place that was not in his province, his domain, to go to and arrest people and take them back to Jerusalem. And as soon as I read that, I thought, how true that is. And yet so many people think that the Damascus is the Damascus in Syria, but no, it's not. It's not at all.
Well,
That's a really good point. Why would he go out of his jurisdiction thousands of miles to arrest people and bring them back thousands of
oh,
miles?
that's a good point. That's a
Yeah.
good point. He
He
traveled a
wouldn't
lot
be,
with the gospel, but back then when that occurred, he wasn't traveling with the gospel. He was persecuting, so he'd have to be within his jurisdiction, of course.
yeah. He wouldn't be allowed to go out of his jurisdiction that far. It was quite a long way, and he certainly couldn't have gone out of his area to go and arrest a bunch of people and bring them back. How was he going to bring them back as well, that distance?
Yep.
Absolutely. And to more about Giza Vermes,
Yeah.
also we see there was Cave 7 that was found, and that's where the New Testament and the Septuagint fragments were found. So they blew up Cave 7, and Bill Cooper's book actually goes into it, which I have a link to it on that article. I think it's called The New Testament Fragments Found at the Dead Sea, I think is the title of his book. But anyway, he goes into it and he shows, they found these New Testament and Septuagint fragments. Then when him and his team wanted to go in, like, about 15 years later, between like 1970 and like the early 90s, somewhere between there, it was blown up. And so
Wow.
they went to go look at everything, and they could tell it was blown up just by, what had happened, and like basically forensic shows like, yeah, this was blown up. It didn't just collapse. It was blown up.
I see that.
And so
Uh,
Giza Vermes knew about these fragments. He knew about their findings. He knew about their legitimacy, but he refused to even address them in his complete Dead Sea Scrolls. And he brushed it off. It's just like, oh,
Wow.
they haven't been proven. Yet contradictory to that, they have been absolutely proven as New Testament fragments.
Yeah.
So yeah, just deeper into, he's literally part of these usurpers. He's part of the usurper crowd.
Yeah, it must be. So that was that Cave 7.
Yeah. I write about it in my article. I actually take
Yeah.
some excerpts from Bill Cooper's book there.
Yeah.
I quote it, but yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
have a question regarding jurisdiction and what the Romans allowed allowed those that were under the what do you call it? Under the jurisdiction of the temple Jews, or you want to call it. I got the impression that they had a social compact system that they were allowed to rule their people wherever there were synagogues. They were allowed to rule those people who were associated with the synagogues. We have this story about the blind man and how they threatened to put his parents out of the synagogue when he was healed. And they said, oh no, talk to our son, he's of age. And that was the threat. They were afraid that they would be put out and then they wouldn't have a way to take care of themselves. And so I think, and I'm not entirely sure, and maybe somebody who knows more about this sort of thing could help me with it or could fill in on it. We have in this country something called 508. The 508 is something the Roman Catholics operate under, the synagogues operate under, is the Protestants that they encourage to do the 501c3. And with the 508, wherever they are, that jurisdiction is theirs. The sheriff in the counties, back whenever things got started with Catholic churches and parishes in this country, they weren't allowed to go in there, and if that, like, say there was laws against gambling, well, they couldn't go into the parish and arrest the priests that were running the gambling. Things like that. And since we are under Roman civil law, I'm wondering if it was a similar thing. So if it could have been considered part of his jurisdiction if they had been members of the synagogue. Just thoughts.
So to that, I would say that's just like the jurisdiction we would see in what you're talking about. So, like a sheriff would have a certain jurisdiction and he wasn't allowed to go outside of that jurisdiction. It would be the same. So why would they send somebody thousands of miles away, thousands of miles back? Why not just send a messenger on horseback to have those people bring him the 1,000 miles if that was the case?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. It's just thoughts on jurisdiction, not anything to do with a yay or nay on the idea itself.
yeah, no, I get it. I'm just trying to explain it. Like, and we got to think of, back then as well, most people walked. Some had, mules or donkeys. Some had horses, things like that, or camels. But for the most part, most people walked. So going to Damascus, Syria, it was not, like it would be in modern day. It was quite the journey.
A bit too far.
Yeah,
I
a bit
think.
too far. So
Mm.
I like Libby, I truly believe that the Damascus he was going to was the Damascus where Qumran is located today, which would be, the Sons of Zadok community. That's what they were. They were the Sons of Zadok, the priest commanded and given authority by Yahuwah himself in Ezekiel 44 to guard and keep these things. And we see that they did. And that's the thing as well, is, the temple of Onias that was in Egypt, and it was operating the same time as the second temple in Jerusalem that was usurped. The temple in Egypt was run by Onias Onias IV, which actually is Greek translation for Yochanan, which is really fascinating. But he was a son of Zadok, who was he had a temple built in Egypt to Yahuwah, where they were offering sacrifices and things like that. So that fulfills Isaiah 19, where he speaks about the temple that will be set up in Egypt to Yahuwah. That's a fulfillment of that prophecy right there. Not only that, we see Messiah, when he was still young, they had to run away to Egypt to escape King Herod. Yeah. So where do you think they went in Egypt? It was that land of Onias right there. That main community of the Sons of Zadok, the true priesthood. No doubt.
Yeah. If I can just jump in there for 1 second. I have an article here at this country that I think you would find absolutely fascinating. I think it's brilliant. You know how 2 or 3 days ago we were talking with a group of folk, and one of them was suggesting, that Yahusha was a carpenter, like his father was, and I said to him, we don't know for certain, but I said I would suggest that his father was the carpenter, but when you're making a house, building a house, you need both a carpenter, a joiner, but you also need the stonemason to erect the stones. And of course, all my youthful life from age 20 onwards, I was heavily involved building houses and, dressing the stonework. And putting the stonework as the facing to property. And so I'm suggesting that our Yahusha's father was the carpenter, and that Yahusha himself was actually a stonemason, that he wasn't a carpenter at all, but he would be the stonemason, and hence that scripture which says he was the stone that the builders rejected. And this article that I have got here, I don't know whether, if Jeremy, if I went to the photocopy shop, would the girl at the photocopy shop be able to scan the article and send it to you? It's an article that you probably won't be able to get hold of anymore because the man himself is dead. But it's based on the scripture from Isaiah 19, verse 19, about the fact that Yahuwah hath set a pillar and an altar in the land of Mitzrayim. And reading that article, it occurred to me that the Great Pyramid of Giza, where the actual capstone will not fit on top, I think that is the stone the builders rejected. And it's the fact that the accuracy of the whole Pyramid of Giza was to such a degree so accurate that it hasn't even shifted. If you pulled one tiny hair out of your head, it has not even shifted on its base one hair. It's absolutely accurate still today as it was when it was originally built. And of course, there's all the evidence inside it that it stood at the time of the flood, because there is the evidence inside the pyramid that flood water had been in there. But I came to believe, reading this article, The Great Pyramid of Giza, that it's the calendar, the Zadok calendar, in stone. Everything about that pyramid is the calendar, the Zadok calendar, in stone. It's absolutely amazing article, but I would love to be able to send it to you. But if I go, say tomorrow, and speak to the girl at the photocopy shop who you spoke to, Jeremy, is that the sort of thing she can do? Scan it and send it to you?
Yeah, or if you have the link, it's a website or is it a PDF?
Well, no, because he's dead now. I've had the article for many, many years.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, sorry.
But is there some way in which, well, Claire could probably do it for me. She could, you see, I don't know. I'm not technical like that, but how do I get the girl at the photocopy shop to know where to send it to?
So I can leave you my email address.
That would be fine.
Yeah,
and she'll scan it.
Yeah, exactly. She can scan it and then it'll put it into like a program in the computer, like a PDF sort. And then you can send it to my email.
That's great. And then perhaps you can manage to put it onto the Yakad, because I think people would really probably very much enjoy reading the article, because even built into the Great Pyramid of Giza is the days of the year, 365.24. It's incredible. It really is. It's an amazing article. It truly is an amazing article. But you won't get that article ever again. It's only the fact that in the beginning years when I was 23 and I belonged to this church in Liverpool who taught the festival days and the Sabbaths and everything, albeit on the moon, of course. One of the ministers in America who was attached to that church, he wrote the article, but he's long gone, long time ago now, long dead. So I don't know, but I don't suppose. I mean, I've not looked because I'm not that good, as you know, on the computers. But I mean, he might have a site, and somebody after his death might have possibly put articles on. I've not actually looked, but I've certainly got the whole article here. And I'll go and do that tomorrow for you.
Yeah, I would love that. And yeah,
Yeah,
we can read through it on here as well.
that's great. And if you put it onto there, other people have the opportunity to also have a look at it. But I thought it was most interesting anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I can even put it on, where my article sites are as well online, so others can
Oh,
read it.
smashing, smashing.
And I can
I've
get,
got one more little thing to add. It's not in the connection of the pyramid, but um, this is rather funny. This is Claire will laugh at this one. She will know who I'm talking about without mentioning any names. I've got somebody who lives quite local, and he and his wife, back in end of the feast last year, he started coming to the house. He came to the feast. Oh, it was right. He started coming to my house for the Shabbat just before the feast, and my friend whose house I'm staying in tonight, she introduced me to him, and of course, it's very likely. I mean, this is my pet subject, obviously, but probably within 10 minutes of him arriving in my home, I was probably getting out the calendar to him. So, anyway, he looked in absolute amazement at what I was sharing with him. And the following Shabbat, he invited us to his home. So again, out came the calendar again, and I did a bit more, bits at a time. And he said, I think this is right. He said, I feel it in my spirit. I think it's right. And I said, it is right. It's definitely right. And so anyway, he went to a local restaurant, a little organic shop. Claire will know who this is I'm speaking about. And he went to this little organic shop where he bumped into two people that Claire knows very well. And immediately she said, oh no, that is completely wrong, totally, it's the moon and everything. And so anyway, when I went to see him again, he had a slightly worried look on his face. And he said, you know what? He said, I'm not sure anymore. He said, you're saying one thing and she's saying the other thing. So I said, well, that's fine. I said, you've got to now do the work and put the work in and prove who is right. Is she right with the moon, or is this right with the sun? And he said, I'm going to fast and I'm going to pray to find out, because I don't know the answer, Libby. So he said, I need to go away and think about this. He said, somewhere the answer will come. Well, would you believe it? Yeah, the following day, it was atonement. And we started the fast, of course, on the evening of the 9th, right through to the next evening. And at the end of the fast, the girl who I was with that day, we went into town at the end of the fast, and we'd taken the car, taken the dog, walked down the river, came back to the car. It had gone dark now, and we sat in a few of those lovely big, they call them bejewel dates, sat at that, had a glass of milk, and then I said, I've got a surprise. I said, I'm going to take you for a meal tonight. And she said, oh, I'd love that. So we went to one hotel, and they weren't serving. I said, don't worry, there's another one. So drove to the next one, and would you believe it, they'd got some sort of a disco or something with really loud music, and I thought, this isn't quite the right place for the end of atonement. So I went away from there. So we didn't get a meal there either. So the next one was the third place we'd been to that evening, and they just stopped serving a few minutes before. They couldn't do it. So we went to another one in our town and walked in there. I've been in there a couple of times before, more. And at the bottom of the staircase, there were two empty tables. So we approached this table, and a man came up to us. Oh, excuse me. I was thinking of sitting there. So I said, oh, right. Sorry about that. We'll move across to this next one opposite to you. He said, but you could join me if you want. Well, the girl who I was with at the time, I knew that she was strictly vegan, totally. And I thought, she looked at me with one of those knowing looks in her eyes, as if to say, please don't sit down at the table. If he's eating the big fat steak, I won't fancy it, you know. So I said, no, it's all right. I said, we'll sit on this opposite table. So we did. Anyway, I felt this tremendous pull inside of me, wanting to speak to this man. I don't know why, but I felt the ruach pulling. And so I said to the girl I was with, when you finished your meal and I finished mine and he's finished his, I would like to speak to him and invite him to our table. Is that okay? And she said, yeah, sure. So he came, and I gave the girl the nod, and I said, go to the bar and buy him a lager or shandy or something. So as she went off to the bar, he instantly, the first words out of his mouth, I knew he was a believer straight away. And I looked at him, I said, oh, you're a believer? Oh, yes, definitely. And the very next words out of his mouth were, actually, wait for it, I'm looking for where is the true biblical calendar to be found. If the floor had have opened up, I would have been in the hole. It was so amazing. And the girl was still at the bar. And when she came back with his lager, I said to her, I gave her the car keys, and I said, would you like to just pop outside? I said, I just happen to have the calendar. I don't go anywhere without it. It's always in the car. Just, you never know who you fall over these days, do you? So I got the calendar out, and in this big pub, there's me with the calendar on the table. His eyes nearly popped out of his head, and immediately he said, this is resonating in my ruach. He said, I feel this could well be right. I said, it's not could be, it is right. It's the Dead Sea Scrolls. So he was thrilled, and we've made a really good friendship now. But I went back to see the original man who had met my other friend, and I looked at him and I said to him, would you believe what happened last night after atonement? I said, we'd gone to the pub. We were going for a meal to break the fast and everything, and we'd broken the fast in the car. And I said, I bumped into this man who's out of his own mouth says, I'm looking for the biblical calendar. And immediately this man, our friend, he looked, he said, what more proof, evidence do I need? He said, you went to 4 pubs in the town, and this man asked you, where is the true biblical calendar? He said, that can't be just coincidence. That is definitely of him.
Yeah, all praise to the Most High. Wow.
Isn't it? And he's never looked back. And now the other man who I met in the pub that first time is now joining our group as a total, is convicted of the calendar completely. Huh. Amazing. Isn't it?
That's
marvelous.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. That's lovely. I'll tell you something that he said to me the other night, which I thought was quite interesting. I don't know how true it is, but I'm certainly willing to consider it. He'd said something, and I looked at him, and I replied back, and I said to him, buy the truth and sell it not. Buy the truth and sell it not. And he's a Greek scholar, this man. He's a very interesting man. And he said to me, he said, I don't think it's the word buy, because he said, if you were to buy something, somebody else has sold it to you, which would not be right. And I thought for a minute, and I thought, wow, that's quite interesting. He said the real word should be the word acquire the truth and sell it not. Now, how accurate that is, I really don't know at the moment, but it would certainly, I would say, be a better translation, acquire the truth and sell it not, because we don't really buy it. You don't pay money, or we shouldn't pay money. The truth is free. come by without price, you know. But literally, I thought that was a very good translation. Don't you think so?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. That is because it's true. We're not,
Yeah,
we're not buying the truth. We
yeah,
acquire it. We
yeah,
acquire it through Yahuwah.
yeah.
So he gives it to us freely, so we should give it freely.
It's his
And that's
free gift to us.
yeah, yeah, precisely. And I kind of bring this up here quite a few times as well, that same subject, because I see a lot of these teachers going around, they're selling, USB sticks of their notes for like $80, $90 a pop. And it's
Oh
like,
boy.
yeah, that's what I said
Yeah,
too. But
yeah,
bring that up as an example of this, exactly what we're talking about. We're given, we acquire it freely from Yahuwah if we choose to follow him and study
yeah,
and search these things out.
yeah,
We shouldn't put a price on that and then charge others
yeah,
to, learn what you have learned as well.
yeah,
So that's why I don't put a price tag on anything. I just share everything I do is it's for
yeah,
Yahuwah. And
yeah.
kingdom work shouldn't be, slapped with the price label on it. Like
No,
I don't think
that's
that's right
right.
at all. And
I
some people
love
will try to, oh, sorry.
I love
But
your style of writing. It really deeply resonates with me. That style you have of doing it is, oh, fascinating. I love it.
well, thank you, sister. Yahuwah blessed me with writing. Not so
Yes.
much speaking, but I'm better
Oh,
at
you,
writing than speaking. But
well, I think what I've read, everybody who's spoken to me since has said the style of his writing is fascinating. And it is. It's a gift you've got. It's a gift.
all praises
Yeah.
to the Most High.
Mine is nothing like as good as yours, but I've written one which I said to Katrina that I would see if I could. Well, maybe the girl maybe the girl at the photocopy shop could possibly copy it for me. My letter that's handwritten is addressed. It starts off to to the friends of the bridegroom, and I'll maybe get her to do that, and you can have a look at that yourself. Yeah, you may not
Yeah,
agree with it, but you might not agree. But I thought it was lovely anyway. When I read it back to myself, and I thought, wow, yeah, it's just something that was running through my head at the time, so I wrote it. Yeah,
yeah, no, I'm
yeah,
definitely interested in reading it. Yeah, I remember
yeah,
you and Katrina were talking about that.
yeah.
Yeah, I can send you my email, or I can drop it
That's
in the
lovely.
chat. Here, I'll just put it in the
Yeah,
chat
that's
right
lovely.
now. And
Well, my email, unfortunately, my iPad thing, when I lost my husband 3 years ago, it's been gradually going on the downhill slope. I've got a cracked screen because I stood up one day and fell over the wire, and the tablet thing fell on the floor and it cracked the screen, unfortunately. But I've also got a problem with the button. When you turn the button on, it looks as though it's going to work, and then 2 seconds later, the screen is black. And I really don't know what's the matter with it. And I'm thinking, I wonder if I took it to a shop, whether they would be able to still repair it or not. I don't know. But it looks as though the button needs renewing. But maybe it's
yeah,
getting a bit old, the computer now. It's probably about 6 years old. So, but I don't want to lose all my photographs of my husband, so I don't know what you do about that. I'm not sure.
I know you can like transfer them to like a memory stick, or you can even have them printed out even as well. I know
Oh,
there's like shops and websites that do all that as well.
oh,
But I know you can have those photos like saved in some kind of way, so like you won't lose them basically if you get a new device.
oh, that's all right. I mean, that's the main thing why I don't want to do anything about the computer, because I was thinking, well, if the man looked at me and says to me, well, you just have to get another one, and scrub this one. I was thinking, well, that means I lose everything of when he was alive, and I don't really want to lose his pictures.
Yeah.
Well, Libby, like Jeremy said, you can either save them all to a stick, and at a computer shop where you would buy a new tablet, or even Walmart, they might help you do that. Or you can have them saved on Google. They call that
Oh,
the cloud. They
oh,
could save it for you on Google and then just have it just downloaded right on your new tablet or new
all
device.
right. Well, maybe this girl tomorrow at the photocopy shop might help me. She might know what you do. So,
Yeah, a
She
lot of
could be
young
able to.
people, it's real easy.
yeah, she's very helpful, that girl. She really is. I mean, she rang Jeremy and spoke to him, so that was pretty good of her,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
So she might be able to help me. Yeah,
Yeah, I think she'd be able to help you for sure.
yeah,
She seems to know her way around computers, so
yeah. She does. She's very good. Yeah. Anyway, folks, I think it's time I have to go to bed now. I don't know what time it is. I can't see the clock, but I think it's either 1 o'clock or 2 in the morning.
It's wonderful to hear from you, Libby. One day I really want your testimony on getting this calendar at 23 years old.
Yeah,
That's the
I
next one.
I tell you now, I thought he was screwballed. I really did. I thought he was screwy. I thought to myself, in those days, to me, the Bible was his word. You don't dare say there's one word in that book to me that's not right. That has to be his word. So when this man looks at me and says, it's not the word moon, Libby, it's the sun, I thought, you've got to be off your rocker, you have. You can't flipping well turn the word moon into sun. And so for quite some considerable length of time, I kept thinking, and what I never knew was that the day of the month, day one of the months, I always received a letter from him. So he must have known about the Rosh Kodesh, but I didn't equate it at that time. I do now. But when he used to send me a letter every single head of the month, I used to sort of quickly, for the first year or two, I probably read them properly, word by word. But after the second year, I probably gave them a quick scan and thought, oh, another one, here we go, another lengthy letter. Shove it in the drawer and close the drawer up quick. And then the day came when all of a sudden it was just like the curtain went up on my understanding, and I thought, oh, wow. Do you mean to tell me that fella was right after all? Oh, ton of bricks time. Oh, it was amazing, amazing. Yeah. So yeah, I'll put it down on paper one day and share it with you. Yeah. Anyway, folks, I'm a bit tired now, but I've enjoyed talking to you all. It's been wonderful. Yeah. Now, how do I turn this
absolutely.
thing off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries. We've enjoyed having you for sure, sister.
Oh,
And
good.
there should be a button where you say leave next to the
All
microphone
right.
there.
I'll go and have a
That
look because the screen on the telephone's gone black. So I press the
oh
button at the side. That's it. Oh, what's happened now? Oh, heck. Oh, yeah, you're back. Now, where's the button that says leave?
it should be it should be right next to the microphone button, right in the center.
Oh,
Next
right.
to it, it says
How do
leave.
I get that? Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Something else has come up now. What's that? And Mary's
Uh-oh.
gone to bed. Oh, Mary's gone to bed.
Hmm.
Can't ask her now. She'd be Zedding it now. Now, how am I going to do that? Oh boy, what's happened is I've got the keyboard. How do I get that
Uh,
off?
so,
If
so
nothing else works, you can just turn off the whole thing.
Oh, right.
yeah,
Right.
There is
I'll
that.
see you and I'll see you anon. Otherwise, in the morning when I wake up, you'll be still talking to me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Uh,
good night, everybody. I've loved talking to you. Bye bye. I
well,
hope it.
thank
I,
you.
I, I hope it'll go off, but I think it might. Now, what do I
Yeah.
do with that? View video chat. What does that say? And that looks like a microphone. I wonder
Yeah.
whether that does it.
So
Let's
next
have a
to
look,
that,
see if that's
you
gone.
should
That
see
might
like
be it. If I press, what about I press the microphone button? Will that do it?
well, that'll mute you, but
Oh,
next to
oh.
that, next to that, well, at least on my screen, it says leave. Like you can leave the chat.
Now mine said that originally, but doesn't now. The last things on it says Morgan Johnson, Shabbat Shalom.
Oh,
Uh,
that
now, but
you're
I've got the keyboard underneath it.
yeah. So you're actually viewing the chat. You have to go. So at the top of the screen there, like
Yeah,
just above all the chat, you should see where it's like view video chat.
it says view video chat. What do we do with that one?
So click on that.
Right? And if I go off, you'll know I'm saying goodbye.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's
But
it. It's there. Oh, wow,
yeah,
that was clever.
so
Oh, you'll all be roaring with laughter.
yeah,
Good night, everybody. Good night.
thank
Bye.
you. Oh, awesome. Praise Yah. See, we can help her figure things out. So yeah, awesome discussion. I'm not sure if I mentioned it before. I think I did, but next week we're going to be presenting to Jackson Schneider, this calendar right here. So everybody here is welcome to join. I'll share the Zoom chat in our chat here.
Thank you. That'll be neat.
Yeah, and Libby is really amazing. She is a joy. I agree. Always great to have her on, and her testimony alone is just another testimony to the calendar itself. Praise Yah.
She kind of reminds me of my grandmother, the way she would, not her accent, but the way she would express things in a tone whenever she was happy or excited. Memories,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's great having her on. Everybody loves listening to her stories. We don't mind her continuing on. And yeah, Claire, I know you talked to her a lot. If you can share her email, or sorry, my email address with her. I had it written there in chat. I'm not sure if she knows how to figure that out, but I figured since you know her, you'd be able to share my email with so she can send those documents. Yeah, I agree, Talitha. You are inspiring, Libby, for sure. Thank you for being a part of the group. Oh, you missed all of Libby, Jermaine. Don't worry, I always have it recorded.
Would you like to hear a song?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, this is called The Land of Yah, and it came to my mind a little bit ago, so I got it out, and I thought, there will be the right time, if that's what was supposed to happen. Can you hear it all right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you. The Lamb of Yah was slain once for all time. His life for me he gave, his death accounted mine. He lived for you and me, and showed how to be free. From sin and self he gave, life, peace, and joy to be. My precious Lamb of Yah, there is no spot in thee. Thank you for your love, your life poured out for me. You've given all of heaven to make us one with you. We sit with you in heavenly places. Your word is faithful and true. My heart is one with yours. You gave your word, it's true. We are one forever. I love to be in you. My precious Lamb of Yah, I'll always be with you. Your love for me is faithful. Your word is always true. My precious Lamb of Yah, my heart is one with you. We shall love as one forever, you and me, and I in you.
Awesome. Praise Yah. Beautiful.
Hallelujah. I think a lot of our growing in him is learning to take his word. He gave that to me some years back, and I got, every so often you go through these trials and you're like, yeah, doesn't look like it, doesn't feel like it, but it's the truth because he said so, and his word does not return to him void. And he even gives us that mustard seed faith to receive it. It's pretty awesome how he operates.
Yeah, praise Yahuwah. 100%. Yeah. Beautiful song. Awesome fellowship. Does anybody else have anything they would like to talk about or add to or whatever?
Yeah, I do. I appreciate you all praying for me. I think I told you that a couple weeks ago I was requested to start a study reading the Book of Jubilees. And so somebody just wanted to come on and prove that the calendar we're on is right and Jubilees was wrong. He didn't attend again last week. And one of the elder ladies, I mean, she's probably the eldest on the call, and she said that Hodesh should not have been translated new moon. And that other man, he was not pleased with that. And so I asked the Father to guide in this last meeting, and I know that he was. And he gave me a study to share the month in the scriptures. And I went through and I found every word translated month. And of course, there's like 228 verses that have Chodesh for month. And there's I don't know, less than 20 verses that have Yirak for month, but Yirak means lunation. And so the way that it all came together, I realized that Hodesh had to be the solar sacred month, and lunation had to be the lunar month, even though, because it doesn't make any sense for Yah to have two words that both mean lunar month and nothing for a solar month. That doesn't even make any sense, especially when you have the whole thing with the book of Jubilees and the calendar in the book of Enoch that has the 4 seasons and all that sort of thing. So one of the elder ladies, she's an elder widow lady, not the eldest one that brought up about the Chodesh. She was listening because I shared and I haven't gotten this one out to you all yet. It's called Considering Our Messiah's Ancient Library. And that was the introduction that I shared, and I shared with you a little bit about that last week. But I didn't share the paper for feedback. And then this one with the month, that elder widow lady was the one that asked me if I would share with this man who was now on the Zadok calendar and essentially show him how we were right. And we weren't. Hallelujah. So anyway, she's really listening now. It's a blessing whenever the Father puts people together, and when he's showing something to one person and they're able to show it to others. And the lady who asked me if I would start the Jubilee, she says, well, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think that it shouldn't be the sun, it should be the luminaries in the book of Jubilees. So anyway, we'll see what happens and how it comes together. And I just appreciate all of y'all's prayers.
Yeah, absolutely, sister. And yeah, to what you were saying, I shared what I put together actually years ago when I was first studying this out. And so the words are, so the ones you were talking about were they're named for months. So Iraq, it's mistranslated 26 times. Or sorry, no, I'm reading the wrong one. So Iraq mentioned 26 times. That describes the moon in the literal sense. Then there's the Saharon, which is H7720. This word is mentioned 2 times, describing an ornament, and 1 time as a smile, describing the moon as round tires or a flat disc. And then we have the Bana, which is H3842. This word's mentioned 3 times, and it's an adjective meaning properly the white of the moon. And then again we have Iraq and Kodesh. So the Iraq, where they're using the months, like they're using it like you said, it's a lunation, or that what Enoch is describing to us, that lunar cycle. That's what that's describing. Whereas Chodesh is the true month. That's describing, a month of 30 days. And then we have these 3 months in between each 4 season, which will equate to the 12 months each year of 30 days each. That's where we get that's what we see in Daniel. That's what we see in Revelation. And it's because they're counting that prophetic year cycle So they're not counting the 4 intercalated days, like Enoch is saying, in the counting of these years. Although they do exist and they are there. But the wheel within the wheel explains exactly how that works and why we see that. It's really amazing. But yeah, and that I was gonna say this to Libby as well, but that's my question to all of the. They say the moon sighting's biblical and this and that. Well, if it was biblical, where's the verse of Moses sighting a sliver moon? Like, where does it say, on the first day of this month, Moses went up and sighted this 1% sliver of the moon? I'm not going to find it. It just doesn't exist in scripture. So if it was something we're commanded to do, we would have seen Moses doing it more than once. There would be more than just one example, because that's what we see with everything else. We see things repeated over and over to emphasize, hey, this is important. You should be doing this, We just don't see that. We don't see him citing anything about the moons. And then when we test this calendar out to all the things, like the events in scripture, it's lining up to this calendar. Which, speaking of, I did finish my article about the death, burial, and resurrection of Messiah, walking it through scriptures, why the Passover lamb is not a sacrifice for sin, it's just a meal. I really went into depth about it, so I
Yeah, I
actually,
wanted to read that, but I was having trouble with the yellow.
I'm going to fix that this week as well. So
Thank you. Let me know when it's done because I'm squinting, and it's not helping.
yeah, I've heard that from a couple people. The yellow is hard to read, so I'll go in and fix that. And I was also planning on,
Bless you.
reading through
Appreciate
it.
that.
Yeah, no problem. I was planning on reading through it, maybe our next fellowship or discussion.
All right, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, does anybody have anything else they would like to add, talk about?
This isn't about anything we've been talking about except the retreat, for Sukkot. Lisa and I are going to get a cabin, and I may have one or two other gals that might come with me. So we're thinking, 4 or 5 in the cabin. If there's any other gals that would like to get in the cabin with us, please let me know, because we want to have at least 4 in a cabin, if not 5. So, ladies, if you'd like to go and you'd like to stay in the cabin with Lisa and I and a few other ladies, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, get together if you guys want to go in on a cabin. Yeah, get with Sarah. And
Yep.
yeah, I was thinking
Sorry,
about
guys,
creating.
you'll have to get your own.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I was gonna create another poll here. Marissa was suggesting it, so I'll create another poll as well, and I'll share the link uh, to the website to get the tickets and all that as well.
Okay.
So yeah, in the PDF section, yes. Yeah, in our second group that we have there, the one I shared above, that's where I'm gonna put all of our recordings of our discussions. It's gonna be in the video section. Plus like a couple extra little videos like that reading I did of that sister's last video. But mostly it's gonna be our discussions and then PDFs. There's all kinds of stuff in the PDF section, including uh my calendar layout that I made and then also Libby's calendar layout. is also available in PDF in the PDF section. Tons of Dead Sea Scroll things, 4Q324D, all kinds of stuff in the PDF section. Also in the links section as well. Lots of videos and information and all the articles on all the videos I've shared and done discussions on. The links are also going to be there. And then, of course, you know, for those who don't know, I have a YouTube channel as well. It's Cover to Cover with Jeremy Pyers. You can just type my name in. You'll be able to find it. And that's also where I upload all of our discussions. Unfortunately, not all of them will be on YouTube because, you know, they gave me a couple strikes for a couple of videos that they didn't like us speaking some truth on. So, but the fun thing is in that video section in our group, you can watch those videos. So there's no problem with it on Telegram. And blue is easier to read than pink. Yeah. I was thinking about just because there's also a bold option, like to make the text bold. So I can just switch it to like a bold text. That way, you know, basically outlining the word. And it's strange because on my computer, I can read it just fine. Like it looks fine. But then you go onto like a phone or other devices and it could be hard to read that yellow.
Yeah, so you're just thinking about bolding the yellow or
No,
I don't know
I'll
if that
take
would.
no, I'm gonna just remove the yellow and make the words bold instead.
Okay. Yeah, Lee was joking up there about, yeah, make pink for the ladies and blue. That's why I said that blue's easier to read than pink.
Yeah, I was just playing around. Whatever's better for somebody to read, it's okay.
No, I know. Yeah, and then like I said, I was planning on reading it probably next fellowship as well. It's basically just the same thing we've gone over several times here within our group, but actually it goes a lot deeper into it because I go into, you know, what sacrifices were required for what type of sin and things of that nature. Just goes really deep. It's really good. I highly recommend it. I've shared it on my Facebook page, but yeah, I'll fix that yellow and then we'll go ahead and read it on here as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did use yellow on other article as well, although it's probably not as noticeable. But I'll probably go through that and fix that as well. Because I do have like Sabbath highlighted in yellow in the Saturday. It's not always been the Sabbath day or the seventh day. I can figure something out.
Oh, I always like to put Sabbath in blue, but that's always because, blue for me is that's the that's the law of love, It's written across the sky, only they made the sky lighter lately.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll just fix all that. I'll put it like in bold or use blue because the blue is probably easier to read because it's closer to the black. So you can make a distinction between the two. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, does anybody have anything else they would like to add or talk about? We're definitely getting the Sukkot thing going. So yeah, if you would like any more details or if anybody has any questions about Sukkot, uh, Marissa would be the one to talk to. She knows all the details. She's the planner.
Thank you, Marissa, for doing this. I know it must be a labor of love. So appreciated.
Oh, yeah, of course. No, it's no problem at all. I will just be so happy to have other people to fellowship with for Sukkot this year.
Yeah, it'll be very good.
Yeah, we'll keep you all in our prayers, those of us that don't make it, for sure.
And yeah, for those who don't make it, I'm planning on doing like a live stream, or not like a live stream, but one of these there. And we can do it like have the camera going so everybody can see everything, things like that. I think it'll be pretty cool and fun for sure.
That'd be great.
When
Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew or not, but I'm a video editor. I will bring my equipment with me and my drones, and take some. Yeah, and I'll help you put a video together.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Everybody's going. That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I've done a few of them that we've had, so that'll be interesting.
Well, boom, there we go.
Yeah.
You got it.
sounds like everything's coming together.
Yeah, praise God. Awesome.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Now we can.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what happened. I just wanted to say I love you guys. I got to get off and making dinner for the family. But Jeremy, thank you so much. Katrina, thank you so much. Everyone in here, I love you all. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Enjoy your meal.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. And yes, I'm super, super, super excited for Sukkot. And I was thinking of, I know a lot of people have kids. Hopefully mine can join me for a little bit of it. But, and I'm going to be corresponding with Marissa. So if you guys have kids, let me know how many kids you have. And I'd like to get some sort of activities, maybe help put together, or just think about like what we could do.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, perfect.
Shabbat Shalom, Miranda. I will definitely be calling you.
Okay, look forward to it.
Yes. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
But yeah, so Claire, everyone will be camped out. If you don't make it, I'll always have it recorded as well. So yeah, no worries. But yeah, if no one else has anything they'd like to bring up, I was thinking about go ahead and ending it here for now for this week. And then yeah, next weekend probably going to be starting a bit earlier so we can do Jackson Snyder's presentation, or our presentation for Jackson Snyder.
Or we could just do it like at the same time, or we could do it earlier. But I'm just thinking that we would move everybody over. Or keep everyone on the Telegram, whoever wants to listen, and maybe not join the Zoom, or perhaps just bring everybody all over to the Zoom so that we could support you. I would think that would work the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I was about to mention is so if you don't have the Zoom app, I would recommend downloading it now just to prepare. So that way when we share the link here, we can all come from, our Telegram chat here, we can all just pop on Zoom. And then boom, just for support, like Katrina was saying. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it might be really good that, we have you all on to kind of second, third witness while Jeremy is discussing it.
You mean 15 witnesses?
Yes. Yes. Bring it all in. Because, yeah, I mean, it's just, this is a group. It's not our calendar. It's not Jeremy's calendar. You know, it's Yahuwah's calendar. And when so many people come together, he is there. So it's just
Absolutely.
a good thing to all join in on this, because a lot of people do watch Jackson's stuff, and we'll be able to, use that Zoom link, to share with others. And there's going to be a lot of people that come on asking questions, and, all the help we can get and thoroughly answering the questions would be great. Sorry, I'm shoving my mouth with pizza here. But yeah, anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And no worries. So, yeah, the topic, Belinda, it's going to be the calendar, Yahuwah's calendar. And I'm going to be presenting what we have found. And it's Dr. Jackson Schneider. He's pretty popular in the Zadok community. Yeah, yeah, you know. I know most of us in here know who he is. But yeah, it's basically I'm going to present our calendar, this calendar, Yahuwah's calendar, to him. And I was going to ask Marissa, 'cause I know I've already messaged her, if she can just join in to, explain the stars and the moon a bit. No worries if you don't want to. I'm uploading some of the little videos of your presentation anyway. So just in case, I'll be able to, share them anyway.
That would be such a blessing, because my first, about a year, almost a year ago, I think it was, when somebody started getting on me about studying this calendar, Jackson Snyder was one of the things that came up, and I wound up communicating with him, and I started a call reading a particular book that he recommended, and that was really interesting. He kept saying he was going to come, and never got him on the call because I think it was not within his time frame. But he's an interesting man. I'll be praying for that. That'd be really special. And imagine if he does see it, what would happen?
So, as of right now, I think he goes on the calendar, the Zadok calendar for sure. I believe that he starts the year on the equinox. But the issue with his calendar is that when the feasts end, the year ends. No need to do anything more, which is a pretty safe ground, to be at, right? You don't have to do it. Just wait for the equinox and boom, you're back on. But I don't know when he cited the equinox, he doesn't do any intercalation, obviously. He just cites the equinox, but I'm wondering if he uses the equinox as day. I'm going to have to go back and review. The equinox is day 1. I'm wondering. Or if he uses it as day 4. Does anybody know?
I don't know, but he's doing the Saturday thing regardless of anything else, and they are having discussions about whether, about the Wednesday to Saturday, and how to intercalate the year and all that sort of thing, at least whenever I was communicating back then.
Okay, so he the equinox to whatever 4th day then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, because yesterday he was having his Sabbath gathering. That's what he invited me to. So I attended and introduced myself, and then he continued with his teaching, and I was like, oh, I'm not really interested. And I left.
You know, that music at the front and it's just so, I don't know. I wasn't sure quite how to relate to it in my spirit. I thought it was a bit strange.
Yeah, and then yeah, it's just yeah. I came, introduced myself. I did what he asked, so yeah. His calendar presentation or his calendar expo that he's having, I should say, which is what's going on because he's having different people who've been studying the Zadok calendar present, their findings basically. So that's where that, Robert Villa's video came from that was on Jackson Schneider's. And I brought all that stuff up to again question his ingenious sparks method like we did because it just does not add up. Their foundation is the Gregorian week. They don't use the markers in the heavens. Like those are just, whatever. They're there, but they don't matter. And it's just not right. It's not right. And then of course we got Dustin Hoffman. He's the one that, last before our fellowship, he was going back and forth with me and Katrina, and he was having his wife do the same, go back and forth with us. And instead of listening or reading anything we would write, he was putting words in our mouth. He was mocking, scoffing, calling names, just like real, childish about everything. And I was like, it got to the point where, I had to block him and his wife. And it's because he was just name calling. And then I shared one of Katrina's posts, and his wife came on and just made a real nasty comment, like uncalled for and shameful. So I blocked her as well because I'm not going to have that. Like name calling, bashing, and belittling for no reason. Like it's uncalled for.
Yeah. Something came up in my feed. I didn't watch it at this point, but it just said that people can be very intelligent, but emotionally immature people will twist things. And I think that's what's going on there. That things are just getting twisted because they can't hear, because they have all of this they call it emotional immaturity. They have all that going on. And I think that veil is removed, that our healing comes as we walk with him. And I pray for people who are so immature that they can't even hear and listen.
Yeah, truly, because that's exactly how they were. They were just very immature, very childish. Just in calling alone was evidence of that. And
Childlike, childish, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
that was pretty brutal. That wasn't nice at all. You have to leave, the personal stuff to the side. That's, we have to be better. We have to be better than that. Let's just stick to scripture.
yeah, most definitely they were not sticking to scripture. They stuck to name calling.
Our brother Jacob went to them privately, and he did say, what they did was wrong, and she said that she would removed it, but Jeremy already removed it and blocked her, so sorry. And I was like, oh gosh. Wow.
Really uncalled for and shameful behavior.
Yeah, we just got to do better.
During this call, I got a call from a restricted number, and it was from someone that was counted a brother, and I had to cut with him.
You gonna go poop?
Months ago. And he called, and it was restricted, and I had gotten a new phone, so I didn't know who was who. And I just, he apologized. And I told him I accepted his apology and, said something to him about why I had blocked. He said, "Oh, well, I thought I hurt your feelings." I said, "No, it's just a matter of principle." And so I had to just stop that communication with you. And so anyway, it's interesting that he said the spirit was convicting him that he had been what's the word, harsh and insensitive. So I'm praying that we'll see. And he was actually one of the people who got me really looking at the Zadok calendar. So I can't, I'm just like, Father uses everybody, He can
Yeah,
change hearts and convict people too, and they can apologize after you've separated from them. So we can see what happens there.
Yeah, I've seen it many, many times. I've done it many, many times, I've had to do it. So that's part of the test. Can we do that?
absolutely. And yeah, hopefully, Yahuwah opens their eyes and convicts them of, their inappropriate behavior. And, if they're willing to apologize, yeah, of course, I'm going to accept it and I'll unblock them. But I even warned them before that, like, hey, look, you're just over here being a nuisance and causing problems. So if you don't stop, I'm going to have to be forced to block you. And he just kept going on and pushing and pushing. I was like, that's it. We're done.
I talked to him about blowing up my inbox when I hadn't responded to. He says, "Oh, if that's what made your phone go bad, I'm sorry." People
Yeah,
I
no,
can.
he did that too. He was blowing up my inbox, blowing up the comments on my Facebook, leaving posts on my wall, like all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, dude, look, we've discussed this so many times. And again, I shared with him the evidence, walked it through scriptures, and he just ignores it all. Hand wave dismisses it and says, I'm right, you're wrong, basically. It's his attitude. And if you don't agree with what he says, he's going to start mocking, scoffing, calling names, sicking his little wife on you to do the same as he is. And it's really terrible and it's horrible.
Yeah, that's
And I pray,
seriously emotionally immature and having to be right,
yeah. And I pray Yahuwah puts it on his heart to repent of all that, truly. But really, the reason I was bringing him up is because he's having his presentation with Jackson Schneider today. So that's why I was bringing him up. Yeah, because he's, like I said, he's doing that calendar expo. So he's having just many folks from, who have studied the Zadok calendar. He's just having them on to present their findings. So that's where we're gonna come in next week, after all these people, and we're gonna show like, hey, look, we can't line up to a man-made week. We have to line up to the heavenly markers. Sure, Dustin has some validity in his midweek, divider day, but that's because he's following the solar cycle. That's where the solar cycle divider day is. So we should have our divider day where the Dead Sea Scrolls in Genesis 1 is telling us, boom, right there, wheel within the wheel. So yeah, I'm praying, Yahuwah puts it on everybody's hearts who listen as well to just study into it more. Once you do study into it more, it starts making a whole lot of sense. And all of us in this group can attest to that as well, All praise to the Most High.
Yeah, we're growing those beautiful brain trees that have leaves and foliage on them instead of those old, dead, ugly ones.
Yeah, exactly. Refine like gold in the fire. Yeah, praise, yeah. So yeah, everybody, if you don't have Zoom, go ahead and download it. You know, just make a little profile with them. That way it'll just be easier to join when it does pop up. And yeah, I'll probably end it right here for this evening. And then we will meet well, maybe an early time, but the same place on next Shabbat. And, I appreciate each and every single one of you, and it takes us coming together to figure these type of things out. And where there are two or more gathered, Yahuwah is there. So if we are truly searching for truth, which is what we're doing, he's going to show us it. And that's evident through all these discoveries and confirmations that we get basically every single week. We always have something new to present, like, hey, look, this is more confirmation. But yeah, truly, I appreciate it, all of you. Thank you all for coming. Shabbat Shalom. And we will see you again next week. Much love to everybody.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Have a wonderful week.
Shabbat Shalom.